Preseason is done, so it is full steam ahead to week one for the NFL's best as we welcome you to Cut Day here on CBS Sports HQ. I'm Haley Sutton. Teams have until 4 p.m. Eastern today to get their rosters cut down to that magic number 53. Some clubs already starting that process earlier today. Of course, Giants fans upset. They woke up to the news this morning of their QB darling, Tommy DeVito, has been waived in the Big Apple. If he clears waivers, he could return to the practice squad. Of course, some other backup spots we're keeping our eye on. Carson Wentz making the move to Minnesota. Kenny Pickett acquired via trade by the Raiders. And some questions for Kyle Trask, potentially the longtime backup in Tampa when they signed Teddy Bridgewater, left some questions there at backup. So we've already seen some moves being made. And of course, we know the backup spot can make or break a season. Remember this, 2017, the 2018 Super Bowl for Nick Foles over here winning it for Philadelphia. Last year, of course, we had Dak Prescott out. Cooper Rush filled in, so it was a treat for us out for America's team. You've also got guys like Joe Flacco, Jake Browning, just a few examples of those backup guys that can make a big impact down the line. And so with just over a week until the 2025 season starts, we've got our guys, Kyle Long, Pete Prisco. Pete's got another list for us. He's breaking down the top backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Pete?
Can I label this list, please?
Please do.
If you're playing these guys, kiss your season goodbye.
That's fair.
That's what it is. That's what backup quarterbacks are. Look, 2 or 3 games, maybe. You hope you get through that. If they have to play any longer than that, major problems.
I mentioned that last year with the
I disagree
Cowboys.
with you wholeheartedly. Go take a look at what Matt LaFleur did with a backup that's not even on your dang list. Pete Prisco, there's a lot of really good players on this
How
list.
many games did he play?
There's
He didn't
only
play that money.
He won 2 games in Green Bay.
I said you can get 2 or 3 games
with a
out
guy
of these
that's not
guys.
on the list. I disagree with Pete, so stick around for his list. It's actually a great list.
We are already in full season form with you two. We're going to be doing a lot of this as the season goes along. So let's get to your backup list, and we're going to pick it up with number 5, Pete. It's a guy who hasn't been a backup for very long. Anthony Richardson comes in at number 5 for you.
Which is why he makes the list. I mean, he was almost the starting quarterback in Indianapolis, and when you look at the list of these other guys, a lot of them haven't been, and nor should they be. There was the debate whether he should be. So I think from a backup standpoint, he's a talented kid. You can go in certain situations and still move the football with him. You can do some gimmicky things. You can run him. So from that standpoint, he's my 5th-ranked backup quarterback.
I would argue that it's not gimmicky when you know the football is coming to a guy that's 6'5", 250 pounds, and he's running downhill. And that's the benefit of having him as a backup. If you are in a tight spot, you can scheme up a week, 2 weeks without a guy like Daniel Jones who's going to distribute the football, let's hope accurately, in Indianapolis. Look, the Colts have a good option B there with Anthony Richardson. And like you said, he was close to being the starter.
Colts, by the way, winless in 11 straight Week 1 games. That is the 2nd longest drought all time. So I'm curious as well because Shane Steichen did say that it is going to be Daniel Jones for the season. He's very specifically said that, so we'll keep our eye on the position there. In the meantime, let's move along on your list and talk Tanner McKee because obviously picks up the finger injury. The Eagles make some moves as well to bring in Sam Howell as the backup there. Pete, in your mind, what does that tell you about Tanner McKee's status as you have him here at number 4?
Well, he's bagged up, and he's not going to be probably not going to be able to play for a little while. But when he's healthy, when you see him play, that kid has a talent. I'm sure there are a lot of teams around the league keeping an eye on him for potentially being a starter down the road. He's not going to be a starter in Philly, but he can be a starter somewhere in this league. Big, strong, talented kid, can throw the football down the field. I like him. I think this kid is one of those rising guys when it comes to the backup quarterback position and might be able to be a starter.
And you can see, even in these short yardage situations that Philadelphia is so accustomed to being in, they can lean on Tanner McKee and say, oh, go lean that big old body forward for a first down. We saw it in the preseason. You said it. He's a little bit banged up, but he finds his way on this list because he performed when he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's going to be a recurring theme on this list.
Obviously, the injury, not too much of a concern, Pete, but when you look at the Sam Howell move there, where does he, I guess, fall on your list of backup quarterbacks?
He wasn't very good in Minnesota, which is why they wanted to get rid of him. So, look, he's a backup quarterback. They're all in a big pile together, most of them. You know, you go with backup quarterbacks. If you're playing them, you're, like I say, you have big problems.
A lot of these guys in backup roles have no problem lighting up the scoreboard, but they're also going to light up the defensive stat sheet. You see guys with a lot of touchdowns and a lot of interceptions being in that Plan B status in the National Football League. I think about guys like Jameis Winston, Sam Howell in his time in Washington. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of interceptions. So that's the distinct factor between starters and backups.
That is still reigning true for Jameis Winston up in New York as well. All right, let's go to number 3. And Kyle, I'm coming to you first here because before we came on, just minutes before, you saw Tyson Bagent's name on this list at number 3, but you kind of felt like number 3 was good, bad, and different.
I'm a homer.
That's being a homer.
You know what? I am a big fan of number 17. And since the Justin Fields administration and through this Caleb Williams administration, you go into that building and all the players, all the staff, they rave about number 17. Yeah, they have a lot of great things to say about Caleb as well, but they want to talk about the leadership, the way that people buy in to this guy, and that's what's important with a backup. When I was in Chicago, I was blocking for Jay Cutler. When Jay Cutler got hurt, a guy by the name of Josh McCown came in the game, and if you remember Josh McCown, he studied hard all week, he practiced hard all week, and he envisioned himself being the starter at the drop of a hat. That's who they have in Chicago. They just signed him to a deal for $10 million, which is stealing to have a talented quarterback like this on the list.
It also tells you what they think of him, and also they want to have protection in case it doesn't work out with Caleb Williams. Now, they believe in Caleb Williams, but we have to see it. This is a big year for Caleb Williams to show people that in that Ben Johnson offense, he can get it done. Tyson Bagent can get the ball out. He's got a good arm. He's smart. He's accurate. I like what I see from him. So number 3 behind the 2 up above. Come on, those guys have done it at least.
Best thing about Bagent, the ball comes out on time. If you kind of squint your eyes a little bit, it looks a little golfish back there. You know, they hit the play action and the ball's out off his back foot. That's the stuff Ben Johnson really wants.
There's no taking 12-yard drops like some people in the league.
Put your finger down.
Stay on task, Pete Prisco. All right, so some high praise there for number 3, Tyson Bagent. Let's go to number 2, Jimmy Garoppolo. It's interesting, too, when we look at what Jimmy Garoppolo's season could look like, guys, because on the one hand, you expect Matthew Stafford to be healthy. Regardless of what we've seen out of him or what we have not seen out of him, we do expect him to be the starter. If he can't go, though, Pete, you've got Jimmy G and Stetson Bennett waiting in the wings. You have Jimmy here at number 2. What does that tell you about the confidence that you have, I guess, or tell us about your confidence?
Well, he's been to a Super Bowl. When you look at backup quarterbacks, this guy actually took a team and probably should have won the game. If he hits the shot down the middle of the field, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And so Jimmy G can go in there and can move the football and can be a consistent playmaker, I think, as a quarterback. You don't want him for the whole season. I mean, that's the reality of it. But you can get 4 or 5 games out of Jimmy G and be fine. You know, Stetson Bennett, by the way, has been outstanding in the preseason, and kudos to him for getting past everything he had to get past, and now he's back playing quarterback in the NFL and had a great preseason. I am concerned about Matt Stafford. People keep saying, oh, he's back, he's back. You're 36 years old, and you have a back problem. That's never a good combination. It's never a good thing to have a back problem to begin with, but when you're a 36-year-old player in the National Football League, it's even worse.
I'll tell you this, Jimmy G, what is he, probably 29, 30 years old? You know what his biggest problem is? Stetson Bennett and the film. Look, I support you having Jimmy G on this list where he is because of his career. You can't teach experience. When an experienced quarterback comes in the huddle, everybody kind of takes a deep breath. When you got these young guys in there, they talk fast like I do when I'm trying to scramble to make a point. Okay, so you got Jimmy G. That's great. If they don't like the way he plays, if he does come in, Sean McVay is quick to put in this guy Stetson Bennett because he was slinging that thing in the preseason.
But it was the preseason.
Yeah.
You know, we put people in the hall from the preseason these days. You know, great preseason game and you go to the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
We do hand out the GOAT conversation.
I'm just saying, there are some options in Los Angeles.
I agree with you. He looked good.
Jimmy G is 33 years old, so he's a little bit older than that 29, but still,
so
you know,
handsome.
it can
Looks
move
good.
around.
It looks good.
Looks great.
His Paisan, they all look young.
Okay, well, we'll go from a 33-year-old backup quarterback
33.
to a 37-year-old backup quarterback. Yep. And Pete Prisco, Kirk Cousins comes in as the number 1 backup on your list. He said he felt misled when they took Michael Penix Jr. in that draft, but it kind of feels like this is inevitable and a good option if Michael Penix doesn't pan out.
Yeah, or gets hurt. You know,
Because
I think Michael Penix would be a really good quarterback, but it's good to have an option like this behind him. And did they really want to keep him? No. They could have. There was situations he didn't handle it very well. They didn't handle it very well. But he's the backup, and it's good to have a backup like him on the roster. He could be starting for teams around the league. I mean, not many, but there are some he could be starting for. So I think Kirk Cousins is the number 1 backup because he's done it. He's thrown for a lot of yards, and he was a starter last year.
And he's further away from the injury, the last injury he sustained. And we have these conversations about guys like Aaron Rodgers. these guys are old. They take longer to heal. And I think the same conversation I was having about Jimmy G, but even more emphasized about Kirk Cousins, the experience. When he gets into that huddle, you understand that he's paid attention in the blitz meetings. He's got answers for what the defense is trying to throw at you. And let's hope for Atlanta's offense that Michael Penix Jr. can stay healthy, because he's a lot of fun to watch.
Here's the one concern I have when you have a backup like Kirk Cousins in the building. What if Michael Penix doesn't play well for about a 3-game span? Do people start looking around? Does he start looking over his shoulder? Does the team look to Kirk Cousins and say, hey, maybe we need to jumpstart this? I wouldn't, personally, because I think it's Michael Penix's team now for the long run. But you know how buildings get. You've been in them. Guys start looking around and saying, hey, maybe this guy, he's healthier now. He can give us a better chance to win.
I've been around the game long enough in the building and now outside of the building to understand that rosters are either made to win the Super Bowl or they're not made to win the Super Bowl. If you were to look me dead in the eye and tell me that the Atlanta Falcons roster is ready to go on a Super Bowl run, I'd tell you you're wrong. What I would tell you is it would be detrimental for the future of this franchise to sit a guy like Michael Penix.
I agree.
And sow the seeds of doubt in your locker room. You don't do that. You're steadfast unless something happens physically.
I'm with you 100%. And by the way, I don't think they're a Super Bowl team either.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were shaking your head a little bit there, too. It reminds me of the year that Dak had the thumb injury. Cooper Rush came in and had a really good 3-week stretch there. And everyone in Dallas was like, Cooper Rush should be QB1. And then he met the Eagles and threw a handful of interceptions. So,
a lot of people do that.
I know.
Moral of the story, you are what you are. You always are. Backup quarterbacks are backup quarterbacks because that's what they are.
We're going to leave you with that. You are what you are. We are what we are here on CBS Sports HQ. You can find plenty more conversations when it comes to the cut day and all of the things surrounding the NFL right here on CBS Sports HQ. Make sure you join us as well at 3 o'clock. We will have a full breakdown as we get closer and closer to that deadline for the 53-man roster.